Are your tents always flopping in the wind? Is your own... Fuck me. Are your tents always flopping in the wind? Is your town overrun by the blood-sucking undead? Then come on down to Chris Ruth Steakhouse. We have wooden steaks. Actually, we just have wooden steaks, but we have a lot of them, and you're going to need them. Whether you're tying your tent taut, bracing newly planted trees, or killing a horde of vampires, Chris Ruth Steakhouse is your one-stop shop for wooden steaks. Visit www.thicksteaks.com for our locations and operating hours.
Is this a metal thing?
Yes.
Little taste.
David, what is this?
Pretty big.
Great.
I have to kill a lot of people. Just tell me what you want me to fuck.
I have big tits and a tiny vagina.
Oil me up, Daddy. I can't believe that Bryce prefers big tits. Mistletoe alert. This is not country. This guy was a real jerk.
How long can Ugo be pregnant?
Chomp, 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 chomp.
Oh, she's such a dick, David.
Okay, everybody, put on your corpse handling gloves.
Ew.
Hoodie Picasso.
Horror.
Hey, everybody. It's your boys. I'm Bryce Hanson, and I'm your host today, along with David Day.
Hello.
We're very important. We're very big in Norway.
Very big. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we finally hit number 1 in Norway. And thank you to all the Norwegians who made that possible. We appreciate you over there.
It's like the motherland to half of me.
Yeah.
So,
Which half?
the sexy half.
Hey! Yeah, I suppose so, huh?
So, if you're new to Horror Movie Talk, we are a horror movie review show. We review a new horror movie every week and try to prioritize new releases. Go to our website at horrormovietalk.com to find links to all the things. You'll probably be most interested in our Facebook group, which is the most active part of our social media. I guess not so now. Have a much more active social media ever since we
We're working on it.
started actually posting everywhere. We post every Wednesday, so please subscribe and leave us a rating on Apple Podplop and other pod places. If you want to leave us a voicemail, call 682-253-4468. Before we get started, let's just give a big old thank you to our new patrons. You got that pulled up, David.
Here we go. Thank you to listen, everybody who listens to the show. Truly, thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting us with your money, with your ratings, with your reviews, with your time, and just listening and sharing it with a friend. But special thanks to the following people who signed up on our Patreon. We have Sarah M, Julian K, Daniel P, Dominic P, Laura M, James H, Rebecca, Inspector Boogie, Corey P, Joe P, lots of P's, Leah R, Logan W, Eddie D, Hazel, Spencer B, Chet R, and Alex D. Thank you to all of you people for supporting the show. We really appreciate it.
We love all our listeners, but we actually love our patrons.
That's right.
Because you purchase our love.
That's right.
It's for sale.
Until they cancel. And then out on the streets with you. To the unwashed masses.
We'll start out our episode today giving a brief review and a score for the movie. Did I mention what we're reviewing yet?
I don't think
so.
so.
Today, this is a special nostalgia trip for yours truly, Bryce Hanson. We're reviewing 1992's Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
That's right.
No, not the TV show.
No.
The original movie.
Written by
Joss Whedon.
This is his first. Is this his first effort?
It's his first big. Well, it's his first movie. He wrote for Roseanne and like some other TV show, but just as like a staff writer. This is like the first movie that he wrote, or first like single thing that he really did.
And I just FYI, like going into this, I had never seen this movie.
Yeah.
And also FYI, never before has Carrie, my wife, shown such an interest in coming on the show.
Really?
She almost did it.
Why isn't she here?
Well, she almost was, but she's like, I mean,
oh man,
just a hair away.
You should have just told me. I would have had you bring over the kids.
Yeah, no, that was how I said it would go. But I think she's holding out for Heathers or The Burbs.
Heathers isn't a horror movie.
Yeah, it is. It's as much a horror movie as this.
I guess. I mean,
The Burbs is, right?
I guess we did review Stranger by the Lake.
Yeah.
So, I mean, anything's fair game.
Yeah. But really, we could be reviewing Avengers Endgame or something.
Right. There's a monster. He's a big old purple monster, and they got to kill him.
Yeah, no, she was like, you've never seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer? I was like, well, I've seen little bits and pieces. I remember as a kid once somebody being like, David can't watch this. It's too scary for David. And they were right at the time. I was like, 6 or 7. And this would have been too much for me.
Would have ruined you. Yeah, I haven't seen any of the TV show like that.
Yeah, me neither.
That was a phenomenon while we were growing up.
Yeah, well, not quite growing up. I mean, yeah, kind of, I suppose. It's 97 is when the show started.
Is that when it started?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, but at the peak of Sarah Michelle Gellar's reign.
Man, I would have thought it started. I guess that kind of tracks, because that's when I was in high school. So yeah, it was huge
high school
in high school.
In 97?
I graduated in 2000.
Dang. You graduated in 2000?
Yeah.
You're 3 years.
Fucking old man, dude.
Dude, yeah.
My age starts with a 4 now.
Ew. Yeah, let's see. I got to find out where Buffy actually started. Continue.
Okay, so we're going to start out with a review and give our score for the movie. We score on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being a miserable dredge where it makes you angry. 5 being an average film that hits all the expected marks, and 10 being so good it transcends genre boundaries. After we give our score, there will be a delineated section where we get into spoilers. So if you haven't seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer, well, first of all, you're 30 years late. But on the other hand, you can bounce if you need to watch it and come back and listen to the spoiler section. Later on, we'll be checking our voicemail and a bit we call horror movie whores. And yeah, so yeah, we watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and it was like, oh my God, as if.
Here's the trailer.
I just met this girl named Buffy on Pike.
Pike isn't a name, it's a fish.
I liked her even though she seemed kind of flaky. But as it turns out...
You have been chosen, Buffy.
To do what?
To stop the vampires.
Does Elvis talk to you?
And things started getting weird around here.
Are we having a nightmare?
You threw a knife at my head.
And you caught it.
She was the one person I could really count on.
Kill him a lot.
Hi.
Hi. What are you doing here?
What am I doing here? I'm saving your butt.
That is a bad guy. Can we go, please?
The Slayer is unmasked. Let's finish it.
I think this relationship has potential.
Hi. How's it going?
You're obviously having a bad hair day.
If she can just get rid of those other guys in her life.
Stab him in the heart.
Christy Swanson.
I am so sure.
Donald Sutherland. Paul Rubens. With Rutger Hauer and Luke Perry.
Buffy, you're not like other girls.
Yes, I am.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
You didn't even break a nail.
Directed by Fran Rubel Kazooie.
I really do miss like the trailers that have voiceovers, they're just better.
Are they?
They are.
Yeah, I guess they are.
They're much better to listen to on an audio podcast. That's for certain.
That's true.
So yeah, Buffy the Vampire Slayer is available for rent at the places where you rent things. Before she was an iconic television heroine, Buffy was first found on the silver screen starring Christy Swanson.
The cutest girl I've ever seen. Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. I've never seen a cuter girl than Christy Swanson in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Ever. Ever.
Yeah. She stars and co-stars her nipples in this movie. Man, 90s were peak for nipples.
They dialed into
in
what
pop
America
culture.
wanted.
Man, like, you watch Friends, holy shit.
Oh.
Just, Jennifer Aniston is like, she's like, it's like she's storing pencil erasers in there.
Calm down, Beavis.
Did you watch that?
Oh, yeah.
The new one?
Yeah. We, Horror Movie Talk, got a subscription to Paramount Plus, and as such, I've been running through all of Beavis and Butthead's library.
Do they have the whole thing there?
Yeah.
Oh,
Do
wow.
America.
I gotta do that.
All the seasons. Yeah.
Man, I gotta watch the seasons. Do they have? Yeah. Because I remember they heavily edited the episodes at a certain point in Beavis and Butthead's thing, just because, you know, some kids set their place on fire and blamed it on Beavis and Butthead. Yeah, that Beavis and Butthead new movie is pretty funny. Like the college scene is probably the best.
Yeah, that's pretty fabulous. I'm gonna see if I can't pull up a clip.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Pretty great.
Anyways, so considering this movie is 30 years old, I'm not sure how many people actually remember it, let alone the WB television show. Is it WB? I think it's WB.
No, it's yeah, maybe it is. Yeah, it's probably
the
WB,
television
huh?
show. However, people probably know Joss Whedon, its writer, since he's written and directed some of the highest grossing films of all time in the last decade.
Which boggles my mind that this is a Joss Whedon thing, because it's rough. It is rough.
Yeah, it's a little, I mean, considering this is his first thing, it's got a lot of Joss Whedon trademarks on it. Like
I'm so interested to hear, because I'm not a Whedon aficionado. Sounds like you are very familiar with.
I mean, I know I didn't watch this TV series, but I've watched a lot of Whedon stuff, and he's good for what he is. Like, he basically established, well, I don't know if you can blame him for that, but like, we'll get into it later.
Okay.
Joss Whedon is not one to be slept on. Buffy in this film is the stereotypical Valley Girl of the 90s. Actually, the Valley Girl trope has been around since the 80s and well into the 90s. This was 2 years before Clueless, which is...
Clueless was 94?
Clueless was 94.
Damn, I thought Clueless would have been much later than that. But, I mean, this was so fucking Clueless.
So Valley Girl.
It was so... Like, it's hard to believe that Clueless obviously took a lot of inspiration from this.
Well, I think the original is the film called Valley Girl, which stars Nicolas Cage and someone else.
Okay.
A Valley Girl, I'm assuming. But, yeah, the Valley Girl trope has been around.
I'm so sorry. Hang on.
Jesus.
Wait, I'm just trying to... I have ad blocking. I need to pause it.
So yeah, this is the type that opened Sir Mix-a-Lot's hit single of the same year, I Like Big Butts.
When I was
if you're familiar. Jesus Christ, Dave.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to get the clip you want. From Beavis and Butthead, Do the Universe.
I can pause it. Okay, hold on. Where was I? So yeah, this is the type of Valley Girl that opened Sir Mix-a-Lot's hit single of the same year. This came out in 1992 also. This is where I think, like, it really, for my generation, entered pop culture.
Oh my God, Becky, look at her butt. It is so big. She looks like one of those rap guys' girlfriends.
Anyways.
Your generation? Assuming that I'm a different generation from you?
Yeah.
Am I?
You're so much younger than me.
How old are you?
Okay, our generation.
Okay.
Well, the fact that you're like, I'm too young to watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Did you watch it in 92?
Yeah, I watched it in 92.
See, I had parents that loved me and didn't want me to... no, I'm just joking. All that. Just joking.
So Buffy is vapid, dumb, and flaky. When an infestation of vampires begin to invade L.A. and her high school, Hawthorne High, a mysterious man in a trench coat, which starts creeping on Buffy, which we just don't bat an eye at. He shows up. His name is Merrick. He informs Buffy that she has been chosen to be the latest in a long line of vampire hunters throughout history. Buffy has no interest, but she finds she has a natural knack for slaying. She decides to team up with Merrick and train so she can defeat Lothos, the ancient vampire that is the leader of the vampires that are the cause of the recent
vampire.
I should have edited this. Lothos, the leader of the vampires that are infesting the area. I have a lot of nostalgia for Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I watched it several times in the 90s as a prepubescent little fat kid. I remember it for having some iconic performances and scenes. But upon checking the Rotten Tomatoes critic score, it sits at 36%. Am I so out of touch?
Yes.
No, it's the critics who are wrong.
Oh.
Actually, they're not that far off. Watching it yesterday, I tried to put off nostalgia and be unbiased. It has some good bones. There's some great performances, and Joss Whedon's writing does shine through, but it's bogged down by poor direction. Christy Swanson, Donald Sutherland, Paul Rubens, Rutger Hauer, and Luke Perry all bring the appropriate amount of gravitas and goofiness that the high-concept screenplay demands. The dialogue is top-notch, creating compelling characters while placing it squarely in 90s LA. Where it has problems is when it comes to establishing stakes, no pun intended, and establishing the lore in a compelling way. This is often blamed on changes made to Joss Whedon's original script, which resulted in him walking away from the set halfway through production. There's a comic book series called Buffy the Vampire Slayer: The Origin that I read yesterday as well, that you can read the original vision of Joss Whedon that he had for this film, and it's actually nearly identical. A lot is made about, they made so many changes to the script. They didn't make that many changes, but they are important changes. And I can't say that it would have solved all the problems in the movie, because the problem is the direction, and I don't think they were kind of up to the task. But some of the choppiness of like the scenes and stuff still remained in that comic book. It would have felt kind of disjointed even if it was the original screenplay. But the stuff that they took out was some of the darker elements. Like there's a couple key scenes where it is a much darker tone, and it also goes to greater lengths to establishing the lore and like kind of the backstory of the vampire slayers. And it would have worked a little better, but really, like I said, I'm not sure it would have improved the film a ton. Where the film starts to fall apart is the choppy and sometimes confusing editing and direction. It's clear that the studio and or director wanted to de-emphasize the darker elements of the story and focus more on the lighthearted comedic aspects. What they didn't understand is that those dark moments help to sell the comedy and make it a much more compelling film if executed right. The stakes are never truly established because we're never shown that Buffy particularly cares about her school or any of her similarly vapid friends. We're given scant details of the main villain, and when the main confrontations occur, they seem arbitrary and rushed.
Yeah, that is the truth.
Yeah. In the end, while it still holds a special place in my heart, I can see the flaws in the movie, and it's just alright. Like it's a I can't even say it's an average movie. Like, there's a couple things where it's just like, how did that get across? Like, why didn't anyone pipe up and say, like, this is confusing how you edited this, or like, can't we explain this part before this part?
Yeah. There's what are you giving this thing?
I give it a 4 out of 10. It's in that zone of like, it's interesting to see. Like, it's I think it's definitely, like, I would still recommend some people see it. Because
it's super interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie is like the motherfucking Boogie Nights of horror movies. Like, this movie has so many people in it. So many. Even for the time, big people. Like, even for the time, big people.
Big people for the time, and like newcomers that were like
but we're
now we know of them. I mean, like, so this is Hilary Swank's first movie.
Yeah, I'm sitting there. I'm like, is that Paul Rubens?
Yeah,
is
Paul
that
Rubens.
Rutger Hauer? What? Rutger Hauer's in this? Is that fucking Donald Sutherland? Like, wait, Luke Perry's in this? There's even a moment where Ben Affleck is on the screen, and I'm like, what's that? Huh? I mean, Hilary Swank, David Arquette, like Christy Swanson. Like,
see, I don't know how many of these people are impressive to anyone else other than people that grew up in the 90s.
Stephen Root. Like, everybody knows Stephen Root.
Everyone knows Stephen Root now.
Everyone knows. Thomas Jane is in this movie. The lead from The Mist.
Where was Thomas Jane?
Cut jaw dude. He's Zeph as Tom Janes. Like, this movie has so many people that are memorable in it. This was a very young Thomas Jane.
Was he the boyfriend?
Let's. It has.
I can't remember.
I mean,
who Thomas Jane
the
was
uncredited now. Ben Affleck thing blew me away. I was just like, that has to be Ben Affleck as a basketball player. And sure enough, it is.
Yeah.
And so it's impressive in that it's just a kind of a garbage movie that has all this magnetic pull for.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting, like you said, it is kind of a garbage movie in that it's very disposable. Like, there is no reason to like preserve this necessarily.
Not true. I'll get into that in a minute.
But it's one of those where it's like, even though it's kind of like disposable, it's so unique.
Yeah.
Especially at the time. Like, I don't think this type of high concept thing was, well, I don't know. I guess I would have to do a review of early 90s movies, but it seems advanced for the tone that it's trying to set, at least.
Yeah. I'll say, the director, Fran Rubu-Kuzui, did no favors to this movie. Mm-hmm. And I think the thing that I will be discounting, but I shouldn't, is this movie is important because of the empowerment that it definitely gave little girls of the time. Every woman I've talked to has been like, Buffy the Vampire Slayer with Christy Swanson. And I've never understood it until I watched it with Carrie, and she's like, this made me feel like such a badass, like so represented, like so like, there's a girl, she's pretty, and she's kicking ass. She's competent. And like, and she sat there through this terrible movie enthralled because she remembered, her childhood being like, look at what you can do. You're cool too.
Yeah, which is interesting because the actual character of Buffy is very one-dimensional. Like, it's well, I don't know. That's not true.
It's up for debate. I think
it's like, at least for the first half of the movie, she's she's like a standard. She's a trope.
Well, this is a standard kind of hero's tale kind of thing, you know, which is like the hero is selfish and one-sided until they are faced with great peril, and then they grow into the role of the responsibility that they are given. And this is definitely that. It's harder for you and I, having grown up as little boys, to see it as, to see this one-dimensional character filling herself out, kind of, so to speak, and filling out all that. No, but seriously, like, I think a lot of women our age will have derived a great amount of, like, importance from this in the genre.
So yeah, I mean, it's not my highest scores, 4 out of 10, but I still like it, and I still recommend people see it, because I think it's kind of a forgotten film that is interesting enough to. I mean, it's not long.
I'll tell you,
it's fun. It is a fun movie.
Yeah, it's fun enough. I give it about a 3.
Really?
Yeah, somewhere around there. We're not far off on that. But this is definitely guilty of one of my favorite things, which is casting very old people as high schoolers.
Yeah.
A 24 or 5-year-old Christy Swanson. Like, Luke Perry already looks like he's smoked 7,000 packs of cigarettes. His face is kind of weirdly taut.
Yeah, this was 2 years into Beverly Hills 90210, I think. And so that is like the best example of like old adults playing high schoolers. There's like, who is it? The blonde haired guy that is also like 10, 15 years older than the rest of the cast. He legit looks like 37. And he's like,
guys,
hey, fellow kids,
let's go play some stickball. I'm just part of the union. And it's like, okay.
I'll say, like, when I think, for me, movie is important because when I think of Donald Sutherland, I think of this movie. This was like my first Donald Sutherland movie. And when I think of Paul Rubens post Pee Wee Herman, this is like peak. Well, not peak, but I mean, this is like the example of like, oh, this is what he's going to do now.
Is this after Pee Wee Herman?
This was the first thing he did post getting caught masturbating in a theater.
Man, I remember that being such a scandal. Like, I mean,
it was huge back then.
I was only like 8.
Yeah.
It was so scandalous. And it's like, dude, can we like agree that that's not a big deal?
I mean, back then it was, though. I mean, it was a different time. You know, it was like at one side, it's like the threshold for scandal was much lower, but also it was also much higher in some ways.
Yeah.
I think the moral like threshold was set by, you know, conservative Christians, you know? And so some stuff that seemed like, well, that's not a big deal, was a big deal.
Yeah.
And stuff that would be considered a huge deal now is not like, oh, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, we use the word dyke as a pejorative. Like, that's just, no one likes gay people.
I guess, I guess it was a little bit more scandalous because it'd be like, you know, I mean, not that Pee Wee Herman was like the most wholesome thing for kids, but it was a kid's show. It wasn't like as if the Blues Clues guy got caught masturbating in a theater, but it wasn't far off from that.
It's not far off.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's just the thing of, like, you do not want to associate that character or that actor with anything sexual.
Right.
Feel like catching Mr. Rogers come out of a porno shop.
No, you'd never catch that. That could never happen.
That would never happen.
That's some alternative universe bullshit. Anyway, this fun movie, not great.
Yeah.
Important for a number of reasons. Kicked off a lot of careers. I just can't believe how many people were in this.
Okay, so if you just listen to some commercials, you should know that you don't have to. You can go to our Patreon page and subscribe to the $6.66 tier or above and you get early access to episodes after we edited them without ads. And you can get your name called out on the podcast in gratitude, because we are very grateful to our patrons. You can also support the show by going to our website, horrormovietalk.com, and go to our shop. There you can buy our logo tees or our stickers and other stuff when we get around to it. Please appreciate the artwork that accompanies each episode, because that's done by our resident artist, Dustin Goebel. He's a professional artist who fucks hard. He also takes commissions for artworks.
Yeah.
From HMT fans. You can contact him on Instagram at dgoebel00. That's at DGOEBEL00. If you want to leave us a voicemail, call 682-253-4468. Thanks again. Let's get into spoilers. All right, so before we begin, we got to play the Beavis and Butthead clip that we were talking about, which is this is a really good illustration of the 90s mentality in modern day society.
I'm so glad.
Like, this is a really good juxtaposition.
That was the best part about Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe, which is not a lot of great stuff about it.
Right.
Other than the fact that it didn't change a little bit.
Right.
Like, it's still, like, it wasn't like, this is a sign of the times. Beavis and Butthead need to change.
They did not make him smarter at all.
The brilliant thing about Beavis and Butthead is they were always meant to be a cautionary tale.
Right.
It's just...
But, the importance of Beavis and Butthead at the time, do you remember, like, Beavis and, like, the 90s? There was so many articles about the quote-unquote dumbing down of America.
Yeah.
And it cited these shows and movies that were just about very, very dumb characters. And turns out the dumbing down of America was way better accomplished through social media. All you have to do is let Americans meet Americans, and then all of a sudden gets a lot more dumb.
Yeah, and then take out all the nuance of in-person reaction, and then all of a sudden it's just dumb. Okay.
It's a quaint time when two very, very dumb cartoon characters worried the world that, is this what we've become?
So we're going to intro you to this clip. This is Beavis and Butthead got transported through time from 97 or so to now. And now they are in a college campus, and they are learning about...
Yeah, they just walked into a gender studies class.
Right, they're learning about white privilege. So here we go.
What you thought of the reading assignments for today?
We don't really read stuff.
Of course not, because you don't need to. Because Daddy's connections got you into college, and will get you a job on Wall Street.
Wait a minute. Do you know who my dad is?
I'm sure he's very powerful and can have me fired, but I don't care.
Whoa. Cool. My dad's powerful.
Oh, that's cool, yeah. Because Butthead's mom said he died of syphilis. Wow.
This is a classic example of white privilege, and you both have it.
What's that?
Anyone want to fill them in?
Yeah, I'll do it. Okay. So, white privilege is when white people, particularly men, automatically assume they can take whatever they want. And they never have to worry about getting stopped by the police. And they have the inside track for any job
I've got this one, Aisha. They have the inside track for any job they want.
Exactly, Gage. Thank you for that. That's white privilege.
Whoa. And we have that?
You sure do.
You sure do.
I see.
Whoa. I never realized this stuff.
Yeah, you've really opened up my eyes.
Well, I'm glad we've been able to enlighten you. The real question is, do you think you'll be acting differently from now on?
Definitely.
I guarantee it.
Yeah, me too, yeah.
Step aside, please. We have white privilege.
Yeah, check it out.
Step aside, please. We have white privilege.
They kick in the door to the cafeteria and just start taking food off of people's plates. Like, keep playing it.
Okay.
Don't worry, it's okay.
We automatically assume we can take what we want, and we don't have to worry about the police. It's okay, you didn't know. We didn't either. Good stuff now.
Just
this is what we were taught.
Looting.
We're subverting existing paradigms.
This rules.
Okay.
We're subverting existing paradigms.
It's okay. You didn't know. I didn't know either.
I didn't know either. Fucking brilliant, man.
I almost wonder if, like, the purpose of that movie was just to do that scene.
Yeah, it does feel that way. It feels
He's
like
like-
the whole movie is built around that
Yeah,
scene.
because that scene would basically be an episode of the show.
Yeah, no.
That would be the whole episode would be that scene. But he can't be like, oh, I can't just put out one episode.
Mike Judge was brilliant at being like, how do I get the most amount of traction out of this one line? Well, let's just sandwich it between music videos and giggling.
Right.
It's like tits. It's like, okay, all right.
So-
how much mileage can you get out of it?
Right. So yeah, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So it starts out kind of rough. Like, this is the first example of, like, that's the editing choice you're making. Like, because it starts out with a flashback that lasts for, like, 15 seconds, it feels like. It's nothing. Like, and it's shown this, like, medieval vampire slayer. And then it cuts to modern days, like, almost immediately. It explains the lore a little bit, that there's always a singular female vampire hunter, and that torch is passed down to, another woman. But I found it curious but it's the responsibility of some guy to do it. It's like, you gotta have some guy to mansplain it to him. Like,
Well, he is the father figure. I
Sure.
mean, it takes a village.
And then the opening credits is Buffy and her other friends being cheerleaders at a game, and I loved how convincing the bad cheerleading was. Like, it wasn't like the choreography was just off enough.
Yeah.
To where, like, yeah, they probably had like one run through of this.
Yeah.
And did it. However, later in the film has, for me, one of the most iconic cheers on film for me. Like, when it came on, it was like flooded with like the memory of like, oh my God, I know all of this.
Which one?
It's like, how funky is your chicken? How funky is your chicken? How loose is your goose? Our goose is totally loose. So come on, all you hog fans. And shake your caboose. And shake your caboose.
I don't think they ever did my favorite one.
Which was?
Be aggressive. B-E aggressive. B-E-A-G-G-R-E-S-S-I-V-E.
So it starts out with that, and we're introduced to all the different characters. I think we mentioned this was Hilary Swank's first movie.
Yeah, Hilary Swank. Everybody is in this.
Yeah.
It does right out the gate. It does, you go, boy, even without like the foreknowledge of the show existing, you're like, this would be better as a show.
Right. Yeah.
And
because there's probably, for a movie, there's too many characters, probably.
There's too many characters, and also the setup is cumbersome and would be handled better in an episodic way.
Right.
It's just like, I mean, if you had a talented director, and
yeah, I think, a couple.
The one thing that blows my mind about this movie, aside from the amazing cast, is like, this was a huge blockbuster movie. Like, how? Like, why?
Was it a huge success? I don't recall whether
I
it
don't
was
know
or
if it was a huge success at theaters. I just remember it being such a part of the zeitgeist so quickly. Like, everybody was just like, yeah, Buffy the fucking Vampires.
Wow, I think we covered a lot of this in the pre-spoiler stuff. I like Luke Perry is very good in this one. Like, I think he's. It's one of those where Luke Perry got big way too early, and he didn't make the transition into serious actor quick enough. And I know, like, Quentin Tarantino was a huge fan of him on, I think he was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and was like, this guy's great, but he, like, died almost immediately after that. Was it? Am I remembering that wrong?
He died in 2018 of a massive stroke.
Yeah, he was just starting to get, like, back into the zeitgeist, and died of a stroke. But he's a talented actor, and as a young actor back then, like, he was able to play this part very well, and it's different from the cool Dylan of Beverly Hills 90210. In this one, he's a stoner, and they're coming out of a theater, and he just gives one look to, like, the jock in the car. I'm like, that's pretty solid.
Well, Carrie had an interesting take. She's like, dude, I bet Luke Perry and David Arquette were best friends from the moment they met.
That probably makes sense, yeah.
And I was like, you think so? Like, you think of David Arquette, and you have a. You're like, oh yeah, David Arquette, you know,
yeah,
just you're unbelievably goofy,
right?
Like his life is a trope almost,
yeah.
And then I guess it does kind of make sense. You're like, oh yeah, I guess Luke Perry, you can't. But anyway, Luke Perry in this was great.
It moves on, and like pretty soon. It has another flashback to the medieval time, and it's like almost like the opening scene was unfinished. Like they just chopped it in half and was like, we'll show this half here, and it's so disjointed.
They should have just gotten rid of this whole thing. They just wanted this so that they could shoehorn in Donald Sutherland into a part. It seemed like.
Yeah, I mean the in the comic it makes more sense, and this is something that would have worked better, which they have these examples of vampire slayers throughout history. And so it had like an example of the one in the medieval times, the one that was, there was like a Chinese prostitute, and there was one that was like something else. But Buffy would have flashbacks in her sleep of previous lives. And it worked a little better, and it established the lore more. With just doing a couple more touches of that instead of like shoehorning it in. Like,
I think it also established a little bit of like the I know Kung Fu moments,
right,
where she went from just being, you know, a cheerleader who knew who knew how to do cheers and stuff, to being basically a martial arts expert.
Right. There is a little element of her being a Mary Sue in this, to where like almost immediately she's an effective vampire slayer. You know, and then they go through these. That's the other thing that makes no sense, is like the first time that she's exposed to vampires, she's like expert at slaying it, but then they go into like a full on training montage. It's like, well, she seemed pretty good already.
Yeah, but this is a sign of the times.
Sure,
motherfucking montage.
A lot of the dialogue is great, and like this is where some of the. Do you disagree?
Oh, I mean, no. On the one hand, it's a strange thing to say it's great. On the other hand, it's generation defining. It is literally Clueless 2 years before Clueless. Like, it's so
3 years before
Valley
Clueless,
Girl. It's so like,
I mean, it's not. Yeah, it's the trope is not new, but like the jokes interspersed between them, in between the characters, are pretty great. Like, this is where Joss Whedon shines, which is like the cheerleaders are brainstorming like, okay, so we got to have a fundraiser, like, for what? How about the environment? People are
yeah,
like,
totally.
so what are like things that what are some causes we can do to help the environment? And they're like litter, I guess, forest fire.
Yeah, forest fire. Yeah,
bugs.
Yeah,
I
hate bugs.
I hate bugs.
Yeah,
and the ozone layer. Oh yeah, we got to get rid of that.
We got to get rid of that.
Yeah, it's just like believable enough for someone that doesn't know. It's just like a very believable dumb dialogue.
Yeah,
like I can't believe my world history teacher failed me just for not knowing where El Salvador was. I mean, I don't even know about Spain.
I don't know anything about Spain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, that's like kind of Joss Whedon's specialty. And that's why he kind of lives really well in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because that is...
If it weren't for that, there would be no movie. It'd just be fights.
Yeah, that is like the MCU brand is like haha, witty quip.
Witty quip. Yeah.
And Joss Whedon is very good at that. So yeah, if you aren't a Joss Whedon fan, the things he's most known for is the Buffy show, probably followed by Firefly, but now is known as like the guy who directed Avengers, and he did Avengers Age of Ultron too, which both of those are the 9th and 12th highest grossing movies of all time. Yeah, so he's a big deal. And then he got kind of canceled. He got wrapped up in the Me Too movement as being kind of a creep, which is like one of those examples of like, yeah, because he's so associated with like strong female characters and female empowerment in his scripts, but also sounds like he was also kind of a creep to women on sets. So, you can't win for losing.
I mean, it is weird how all these super talented left kind of dudes in the talent industry are all creeps. How does that work? Why is that?
Well, it's like what happens is, okay, you have testicles and you have power. That's the only recipe that you need. Like, that's literally it. It doesn't matter who you are. If you have testicles and you have power, you're going to use it to try to get laid.
I'm trying to hone in because it's not like Rick Moranis ever had any fucking shit, labeled against him, right?
Not that we know of.
Come on.
But I mean, he wasn't an all-powerful force necessarily.
Okay, then go with Steve Martin. Like.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Well, I'm just trying to like really.
I mean, obviously, it's not every man, but you
can't say that.
But it's a possibility for all men. Like, it's not. See, that's the thing. Creepy things cross men's mind. Every man's mind thinks creepy thoughts. And some of us are better at stopping ourselves to act upon them. That's when you hear like...
It helps to have no options.
Right. That's when you see like, I can't believe that guy like would invite that woman up to their hotel room and like frame it in terms of like a professional relationship. I mean, I feel like every man internally is like, yeah, kind of makes sense. Like why you would do that. Like, it's not a good idea, obviously. Like, you shouldn't do it, but understanding the motivations, it's like, no, I get it. Like, I get why he wanted to do it, but yeah.
Oh wow, he wrote Alien Resurrection.
Yeah,
the worst of the Alien movies. He also did the screenplay for Toy Story and Titan AE. Both.
Yeah, he was one of the many credited screenwriters on Toy Story.
Sure.
There's like 8 people that are credited for Toy Story.
How do you know this? How many people
I
are
looked
credited
on IMDb
for screenplay
before. I was looking this morning, so yeah, that was one that like stood out. It was like screenplay by Joss Whedon, and I was like, what the heck? And I went to the Toy Story page, and he wasn't even listed. You have to like expand to get to his name. So yeah, we mentioned Paul Rubin. So Pee Wee Herman, this is post jacking off at the movies. And this is an example of how good he can be in a comedic role.
He was great. Oh, well, really, for one specific scene. Like,
yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Probably the most iconic death scene on film.
It's great.
Like, it's great.
I'm still not sure whether or not he was, like, in my mind, like, watching that scene where she kills Paul Rubens and he's like, ooh, oh. I was like, oh, his character is trying to, like, play it up for her to be like, look how dumb you are. Like, you can kill me. But then he dies. But then I'm still stuck in this, like, is he though? Is he really dead? Because the post-credit scene with him going, still, did you watch the post-credits?
Yeah.
Where he was like, oh, ooh. And
I think that was more of an outtake though. But yeah, I mean, it's played for comedic event. It's just a comedic death.
So funny.
But it's so good. Yeah. That was another great line. It's like, he's like, oh, because at this point, Luke Perry has caused one of Paul Rubin's arms to be removed. And then, so he's armless. He lost his left arm for most of the movie.
Okay. And
like, he's having a conversation with Buffy. He's like, I'm more than human. I'm all powerful. I can do anything. She goes, okay, clap. Which is such a great line.
Yeah, that's an iconic. I remember kids mentioning that line in school and being like, oh, okay, you know, like, or setting up on the playground like a situation where they could say that witty line and be cool for it. You know, like, I took your arm off. Okay, clap. And then it's like, whoa, look at what Jocelyn just did. So cool, you know.
Yeah, so I mean, it all points to like Joss Whedon is a talented writer. He's funny. So I like so America's kind of creeping around, and they kind of comment on that. You know, like, why are you creeping on me, dude? But eventually, Merrick takes her out to this graveyard to introduce her to vampires. And he's like, it's okay, just I want to show you, and then immediately Merrick is overtaken by the vampire that's coming out of the grave. It's like, it was comical how ineffective he was. It's like, oh, you do this much? Again, like all the performances of the main characters are great. I think Sutherland is great as Merrick. Paul Rubin is great. Rutger Hauer is hamming it up in his role. I wish there was more of him, especially. Like, that's another thing that felt very thin, was doesn't really talk much about the threat of the villain or what his motivations were, other than like, he's the big bad.
Yeah.
So be scared. Like,
yeah.
And the stuff that's kind of like thrown in feels like unexplained. Like, he's able to hypnotize Buffy, kind of, but it's not really established. It just kind of happens. And it's like the threat of that isn't really explained.
It's a super simple movie.
Yeah.
It's like it's like, what more? They're vampires. What more do you need? Like, they're bad. Like,
right.
They're just bad. And that's, I guess, you know, like, it seems to work decently. It's just kind of, they try to add all this extra stuff on to it, like all this meaning and stuff, and that all kind of falls flat. It would have been better if they just played it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's a vampire. Which I guess is what they did. I guess my criticism is the backstory with Buffy.
Yeah.
So.
Let's see. What did we talk about? Yeah, there's another example of the direction being just like confusing, is that Buffy is confronted by Lothos. Like, there's all these vampires that like surround her.
That's Rutger Hauer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rutger Hauer. And like they surround her, and it's like they already have like their first kind of confrontation, and that's what results in Merrick's death. But then like 2 scenes later, they're like, we found out who the Slayer is. It's Buffy. It's like, what? Yeah, you already met her.
You're paying way too much attention to this movie.
I mean, it's just like confusing. It's like, and in the comic, it does a similar thing, but it's more of like, we finally know her name now because this high school vampire knows her. Like, a lot of this stuff is like, it's a lot better sequenced and explained in like the original screenplay. So the 2 things that they changed that were really big and actually made a difference and would have made it probably a better film was, number 1, Merrick's death is different. In the original screenplay, Merrick commits suicide to save him from becoming a vampire and being under control of Lothos. So Lothos is like, hey, I'm just going to make you a vampire and you'll have to do what I say and you'll tell me who the Vampire Slayer is. So
I don't know why I didn't think about this hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
So that was one thing that changed. That would have made it a lot darker. And then the ending was a little more bombastic in the comic, where she basically burns down the gym. And it's a little more catastrophic. But it's not really enough to really substantially change the plot or even the tone. Like, the tone is, I don't think it would be that different. So, I mean, like, a lot of it's made is of like, oh man, what if only we were able to see Joss Whedon's version of it. It's like, it wouldn't have been that much better, I don't think. Because what we're given, the end is like so anticlimactic. It's like the vampires invade the dance, and then Lothos shows up and pretty much immediately is killed by Buffy.
It's interesting. They go to like great length to like kind of describe and respect the rules of vampires. You know, they're like, hey, you have to be let in. You know, you have to be invited in.
Right.
And then they continue to try to respect those things at their own peril, at the movie maker's own peril, because I think that has to do with a residence. Like, you have to be invited into a residence. You don't have to be invited into a public school. It's public is in the name.
Yeah.
But all the vampires are dancing around the perimeter of the gym, like grabbing people from the window who goofily like run by the window screaming. You know, they're like, ah, and then they get too close to the window and one of the vampires grabs them. And then, for no apparent reason at all, the vampires are in the gym.
Well,
so, like, they were respecting it, and then they like convince somebody at the door to be like, yeah, come on in.
No. Actually, I think this was one of the things that worked. I think you might have missed it, but they were invited because a lot of the vampires were seniors, and it was the senior dance, so they got invitations sent to them.
Oh, it's all coming. My massive plot hole is closing up.
No, it's still a plot hole because they were invited, but they also stay mostly outside.
Well, not all of them were high schoolers.
And then some of them, I guess, yeah. Can a vampire invite other vampires in? This is an interesting lore.
Oh. I think we've just found... Wait a minute. Okay, now we're getting into something interesting. This whole review, I've been like questioning, like, what are we doing here? But now I think we've honed in on something. What are the rules surrounding vampires / what is your vampire strategy? Because we have a long-standing debate about zombies, specifically the best simple weapon to use with zombies. I say bats, you say spears. The debate rages on. There's people on team bat, people on team spear.
This was a good there was a spear moment in this movie. She did use a flagpole.
Oh, look.
With a spear on the end of
Listen to me. There has never been a stronger argument for spear than changing zombies to vampires. Look, I'm a man of reason.
Right.
I always want to be on the side of right.
Right.
A spear is obviously a better weapon to choose against zombies.
Spear is just a long stake.
Against vampires. I mean, you could skewer 4 or 5 vampires onto one spear.
Yeah.
Get a kebab going.
Yeah.
But, okay, so, like, what's the best... With all the different vampire movies, including, like, Van Helsing, that goofy Van Helsing movie, and it's, like, 1 or 2...
Mm-hmm.
We've seen a lot of methods to deal, and Blade. We've seen a lot of methods to deal with vampires. What's the best? What are you going with?
See, this is the thing: is like there's so much leeway given to the vampire lore across movie universes, where I don't. It's actually kind of surprising that I've been reading Dracula. Dracula, it's all there. Like everything that you think about with vampires, it's like it's established in Dracula and all that stuff still works. But then everything that came after, like either adds something or like take something away. So like the one that's most easily left by the wayside is the cross, the image of the cross, or like religious symbology. In every other movie of modern times, it's like, haha, idiot. That doesn't matter to me now.
Yeah.
I think there was like a really cheap Nigerian movie where the vampire was Jewish, and the symbol that they were expelled by was the Star of David.
Okay,
I gotta find that clip. But yeah, like that stuff. We're like, idiot. We don't care about crosses, or like, holy water's just water to me.
Yeah,
but
that
sunlight is. Sunlight, you're fucked. And a stake through the heart, you're fucked. Like, those are the two things that remain consistent. Everything else, like garlic and religious symbology and, like, the not being able to invite them in, like, all of that's kind of like, I don't know.
Well, what weapon are you going with?
I'd stick with spear, man.
You sticking with spear?
Yeah.
So a couple things cross my mind. We're gonna have to kind of refine this discussion a little bit for me to really kind of like really truly understand what's a good weapon and what isn't. But I mean, I feel like it wouldn't be a bad idea to have a mirror, just so that you can like reflect the sunlight onto them somehow.
Yeah.
But that's only 50% of the time, right?
Well, that's only if you're fighting them in the daytime,
right,
which
that's
they're
what
usually not active.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this is too simple of a question because it's so obvious. It's like, no, it's a wooden stake through the heart.
Right.
And then you got Van Helsing with like a Gatling gun of stakes.
Mm-hmm.
But that's going to jam.
Yeah.
There's no way to get those stakes dead on the same every time. The reason a 9mm doesn't jam is because it's consistent.
Right,
ammunition. A wooden stake is different every time.
And wooden stakes expand with heat a lot more than metal.
Or water, yeah. I mean, if it's humid outside, fuck you.
Right.
Yeah, you can't be fighting those Louisiana vampires with that shit.
I think in terms of, like, cinematic vampire weapons, effectiveness, I mean, Blade's sword is pretty fucking great. Like, he just explodes vampires with that thing because it's made of silver. This is a thing that I think was kind of added later on, and they're like,
yeah, silver.
Werewolves don't like silver. Vampires don't either.
Right.
So, like, if Blade's sword touches a vampire, they just kind of explode into ash for some reason.
Yeah, that was cool. Man, Blade was such a cool movie. We should do
Blade.
Cover Blade.
That's very campy. Like, we should do like a whole month of vampire movies. Now that I'm reading Dracula, I'm like, we got to cover some of these.
Oh, please no.
You don't like? I have a very soft spot in my heart for vampires. There was one of my favorite monsters growing up.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I don't know. I had like a book of like, it's one of those like Barnes and Noble discount bin books.
Yeah.
That was like vampire stories. I don't even think I even read that many of it, but it was one of those things that like sat on my shelf. I'm like, yeah, vampires. I read a book from the library called Prisoner of Vampires that was like, I really liked.
Isn't it weird how we just kind of like arbitrarily choose a thing to be like, that's cool? Like, you just kind of make up your mind suddenly one day without really like a lot of... But none of the Universal monsters ever really did too much for me.
I mean, in terms of like looking at the Universal monsters, like Dracula is the most interesting.
No. I mean, to me, the one that did work decently were werewolves.
Yeah, that would be a second for me. But like vampires, it's like the seductiveness and like it's basically like, okay, here's what it is. This is why I like them. I just cracked the code.
Dangerous sex.
Vampires are the James Bond monster. It's like, yeah, it's the monster that fucks, you know? Like, they're suave, they're seductive, and they fucking kill people.
Yeah, I think this is the thing.
Did you like James Bond? Do you like 007 movies?
Decently. Like not like you do.
Yeah, I think I love them.
I think it kind of boils down to the thing that that you most identify with, right? So like you see the werewolf, it's a guy out of control, rage. He doesn't he doesn't like what he is, but nevertheless she's forced to do the thing, and that rings with me. And then Frankenstein, I didn't fucking ask for the Frankenstein's monster. Like, I don't want to be alive, like what?
Right.
I shouldn't be here, kind of thing. Kind of like the Radiohead creep.
Yeah, I should probably gravitate more towards Frankenstein's monster, but
no, because it's the thing that it can also be the thing that you want, right? Which is like,
I want to fuck.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, and Dracula definitely fucks.
The other thing about vampires is they got cool superpowers.
Oh my god, yeah.
Like they have it's like the superhero of Universal monsters. Like, oh, Frankenstein is really strong and he'll beat you up. Wolf man, he's really strong, he'll eat you up. The Mummy, oh, he's really strong, he's going to beat you up. The creature from the Black Lagoon, oh, he's a very strong swimmer and he'll beat you up. The vampire is like, he can fucking turn into bats, he can control your mind, he can control like other vampires, he can like shape shift, he can turn younger and older.
He's got to take naps.
Right.
That's one thing we didn't get any of in Buffy. No bats. 0 bats.
It's true.
Not a single fucking bat. No,
an animal or otherwise.
Or not. No weapons as bats either. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious about the TV series. It's so beloved. Like, I wonder if I should go back and watch some of it.
I say do it. Lots of people love Buffy and Angel. Like,
yeah,
like, oh man, like you talk to some girls, man. They're gonna be like, Angel, and you're gonna be like, what? And they'll be like, shut the fuck up. Like,
I'm still so impressed with my cracking the code that vampires are the James Bond of movie monsters.
That's a big breakthrough for Bryce.
Yeah, it's a big breakthrough for me. I think I'm going to use that.
Check out the big
from now on.
Bryce.
Oh, what if James Bond was turned into a vampire? Dude. James Bond vampire. That should be the next series. They just ended the Daniel Craig movies. They're looking for their next James Bond. They're looking for their next, like, what are we going to do with the character? That's what they should do. Vampire James Bond. And then all like the being a lech makes sense.
Who would be a good next James Bond?
Personally, I think they have to go younger again. They got to go like someone in their late 20s to 30s. And I think they should do a period piece. They should do it like based in the 60s, 70s.
I disagree. I think you got you're passing up a real opportunity with like Tom Hardy.
Ugh. No.
Why not? You don't like Tom Hardy?
Tom Hardy's fine. He would make a terrible James Bond.
What are you talking about?
He'd make a terrible James Bond.
Why?
He's not suave. He's kind of a nerd.
What? are you talking about?
What movie has Tom Hardy been suave in?
Is Bane?
It's not suave.
Bane
is an incel.
You're an incel. How's that feel?
It hurts a little bit.
As the fucking guy in the prison, yeah,
he's a tough guy.
Yeah,
he's a convincing tough guy. He's not convincing suave.
Okay, who's the guy that looks exactly like Tom Hardy but is much more suave than him? Who is in The Invitation? Dude, did you know Paul Rubens was in Reanimator?
Was he?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
The Invitation.
You know who'd be good? This would be like the switch of, every British person playing every iconic American character. Could have. Oh shit! I just realized that he's not American.
Dude,
never mind.
Logan Marshall Green, the guy who looks just like Tom Hardy from The Invitation.
Logan Marshall Green.
Yeah, here, look.
I can't see.
I know, hang on. I'm making it big for you. Tell me that is not fucking James Bond material.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Whew.
Like a younger... who's the guy that played Superman?
Oh, no way.
What's his name?
He's way too straight-laced. We all know who you're
Or
talking
the guy... he played Witcher or whatever.
Oh, yeah, no, he would be okay.
Yeah, he'd be convincing. I think he's getting a little older. Yeah, I think they should go with an unknown or someone like in TV that doesn't have a lot of attention on him. That's kind of where they've had their most success, I think. I don't think there's anyone running for it right now.
Paul Rubens,
yes.
No, Bobcat Goldthwait.
But yeah, I really think they should go back to like the 60s, 70s when it's like, or even just Cold War era where it makes sense to have spy movies.
Mike Myers.
Like every single James Bond movie now is like, you're a spy in the digital era. Someone made a computer program. It's real bad. You go find them.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. Like no one's like got the codes to a nuclear weapon or anything. Like no one's like, all right. It's all about computer virus stuff.
Hear that loud snapping in the theaters? That's everyone's retinas detaching from rolling their eyes so hard.
Yeah. Oh, man. I think we talked at length about James Bond movies on the Afterpod one time.
Yeah, I think we did.
I've seen them all, I think.
Just once? There's a lot of them.
I've seen several of them several times, but I've seen all of them. And then I think there might be one that I might not have seen, but it's like a remake of
What's your favorite
Thunderball.
one?
Man with a what's it called? Goldfinger is solid.
Yeah.
Like that's where it's like, oh, this is where almost all of this came from. It still holds up. It's anachronistic, like it's very sexist, but Goldfinger's great. I really, really like the Timothy Dalton ones. Both of those are pretty great, and I'll get flack for that from James Bond fans. Ends up, if you watch them now, like almost all of the Pierce Brosnan ones are trash. Almost all of the...
How dare you?
Almost all of the, what's his name? Roger Moore ones are trash. And Roger Moore was like my James Bond. That was like the one who was like, that's James Bond. Who cares about Sean Connery? It's Roger Moore. You watch them now and they're like, they're pretty bad. Like they're pretty bad. Timothy Dalton's like those movies were ahead of the time because they're much darker in tone, and I don't think people were ready for it coming off of Roger Moore. But then, yeah, Pierce Brosnan ones are just really bad. But I mean, like, probably overall, like, that's what the one that stands apart is probably Skyfall. Skyfall is like probably the best movie. I think Goldfinger is the best James Bond movie. Skyfall is like the best movie.
Yeah, gotcha. So let's wrap this up. Who is this for? Who is Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Like, final recommendations.
I mean, obviously people in their 40s. Like, I think if you're a woman, like, this is a much more important film for you than it is for us.
Yeah, if this was a part of your childhood as a little girl, I can tell that it was important to Carrie. Like, she was like, this movie made me feel empowered, and I was like, well, good.
If you're into like kitsch, if you're into like the 90s, obviously.
This is like Encino Man, Clueless. Like, this is such a early 90s, just like time capsule.
Right.
And what an incredibly diverse cast.
Yeah.
Like, I really can't say it enough. Every moment you're going to be like, is that Hilary Swank? Is that Ben Affleck? Is that Paul Rubens? Is that Rutger Hauer? Is that Donald Sutherland? Is that...
Right.
It's just like, what? Is that David, what's his name?
Arquette.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's an oddity. It's worth seeing for like its oddityness, but it's not like required viewing, definitely.
Nah. And come at us. Let us know what you think by calling us at 682-253-4468. Hey, by the way, I think it's about that time, isn't it?
It is.
Oh, well, it's time for horror movie.
Horror.
Horror Movie Horrors is a segment where we check our voicemail from you all beautiful people. It's been a little bit since we've checked it.
I have the first one right here. We can. I've done research. I can certifiably tell you this is the first.
Okay.
Here we go.
Stop, little bitches. All right. I have logistics first, and then I'll go in a little rant. Okay. Is there a way or a place you guys have, like, an index of all the movies you have reviewed, like, in alphabetical order or some shit, to, like, see, like, past movies? I feel like I've watched every content you guys have made, and even your afterpods, but I don't want to be scrolling for, like, 30 minutes to get to, like, newer movies and stuff. And, yeah, I was wondering if you guys have, like, an index or some shit. Other thing, in your guys' last review, especially with Stranger by the Lake, and because it is Pride Month, and I'm a titty girl, you guys should review, or at least go look it out and check it out, is the Vampiros Lesbos from 1971, and it's just female porn. It's just vampires. It counts as a horror movie, but it's all vag, all tits, no dicks. So, yeah, just check that out. Love you guys. Hope everything's good. Keep shooting out the content because I need more to listen to. Bye.
I know.
Shooting out the content.
I know her voice. She never introduces herself, so I don't know who she is. I love her. But she started that call off by saying, I think she said fat little bitches. Was she calling us fat little bitches?
It's, what's that called?
Apropos. 100% right.
Well, it's an oxymoron. How can you be fat and little?
Well, you a little. I mean,
you fat little bitch.
You've seen hamsters.
I guess, yeah.
You've seen guinea pigs.
Hey, you fat little bitch.
Yeah. I have a guinea pig. Its name is Fat Little Bitch.
Yeah, we got to cover Vampiros Lesbos.
Bryce talks about Vampiros Lesbos more than anybody I've ever known.
Really?
Yes, you've mentioned it.
It's
on
one of those
every Night Channel's ad we've ever done.
Well, yeah,
they got a Vampiros Lesbos shirt. I was like, I don't know nothing about it other than Bryce likes it.
I think it's one of those things that like I know nothing about, but like the fact that thing exists, it's like this must mean something to people,
right? Yeah, no.
So, well, it means something to her, and now I'm very, very interested. Next caller.
You all right, fellas? It's English Luke. little bit behind. Just listened to.
Actually, we should probably answer the last caller's question. So, in terms of like the archive, no, there's no singular place where you can see everything we covered, and it's a little hard to find it. But my best advice is go to our website and use the search feature if there's something that you're wondering whether we covered.
It's interesting. I mean, I have an Excel spreadsheet that could theoretically do what she's asking.
That's right. There's probably a way for me to do it in the website as a list, but it would still be just a list of all the blogs.
Yeah, but you could sort by date or by alphabetical. You could sort by 2 columns, right?
Yeah. It's too much. It's too much hard work for us to do.
I don't think so. I mean,
we could do.
It is a good idea.
The episodes one, we could probably just make the spreadsheet or a spreadsheet public, which would be easy.
Well, no,
but the stuff on Patreon is a little harder because there's Patreon exclusive stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, she's not asking about Patreon, but
she said to listen to all the afterposts. So.
But I think with a little bit of research, we could probably make something like this happen if there were enough demand for it. Right now, there's just you just kind of asking for it. Although there have been a couple people be like, "What have you reviewed?" And it's like, good point. I think this is about 4 years of us being on.
Yeah, coming up. It'll be 4-year anniversary at the end of this month.
Yeah, next couple weeks here. Anywho,
I mean, honestly, if you're wondering if we covered a thing, that answer is very easy.
Yeah.
You search on Google horror movie talk and then the title of the thing.
Yeah.
And anything that we've done will show up on our website, or you go on our website and use the search feature on the website to do the same thing. Patreon, it's a little more difficult. I think it's the ones that are exclusive. We've included a list on the tier that has access to them.
I made a video on Patreon that helps people figure out how to sort things appropriately.
Okay,
next
sorry.
Caller.
Back to Luke.
Is it Strangers by a Lake? Quite interesting for a straight man to listen to 2 straight men talk about gay porn.
Well,
still very entertaining.
Half right.
Oh, that's not one I'll be watching, I don't think. My wife already asked too many questions about what I'm going up to. So, yeah. Oh, and I love the adverts. Anything that's going to bring you fellas a bit more money. And if you can start doing this full time, then I can bring on, what is it, like 30-second advert here or there every now and again. Fuck 'em. Love you, lads, boy.
Thanks, Luke. Yeah, we were complaining about someone that left a review about the reviews, or left us a review about the ads.
Like,
there's too many ads now.
It's a free show, and you have a 30-second skip button.
Yeah.
Like, don't be a bitch. Like, dude, are you joking? Like, you're going to
even like
not support the show monetarily and complain when we throw in some ads? Don't be that person. Like, just hit the 30-second skip button.
Yeah. Ah, man, listen to us. We sound like 2 fat little bitches.
Fat little bitches.
That's what we should change the description of the podcast to.
Yeah. Fat little bitches.
The what was the original one?
2 schlubby guys.
2 fat little bitches. They're opinionated and accidentally funny. Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's that time again, boys. The beast from the Northeast has come to feed. And on that note, I have a recommendation. You guys should check out Deathgasm if you haven't already, which I think you haven't. It's a horror movie about metal music. So yeah, Deathgasm. Pretty sure Bryce would love that one. So, all right, guys. I'll see you later. Bye.
Have you seen Deathgasm?
I have not. No.
Man, you should have. That could have been a title for Stranger by the Lake.
Deathgasm. Yeah, but I don't think that would have played to the audience that really truly enjoys Stranger.
Probably not. Well, we take all recommendations under advisement. True. And then store them in the filing cabinet in our mind of like.
If only you could have seen the little shrug that Bryce just did to me.
It's just not feasible. Like it's almost like, I don't want to be rude, but when people say like, "Oh, you guys should cover this," I almost want to go like, oh, "We're not going to do that."
Well, look here's the deal.
There's one avenue to get us to do something, and it's through democracy and through.
Listen, look. There is a graffiti artist, an incredibly talented graffiti artist out of Austin who put up When Y'all Shut Up, and his name's This Bird, and you should check out his Instagram because he paid $666 for us to review I can't remember the Exorcism of Rose McGowan or something
of
like
Emily Rose.
No, it wasn't Emily Rose.
What was it?
I can't recall the name of it. We could look it up or something like that.
Something.
But you look, and then also like I've been telling people, because you get hit up as a movie review podcast, you get a lot of independent movies. Look, if you have a movie or a business that you want to promote, like we have a reasonable tier on Patreon for that. If you want to talk about, plug your stuff, $66 for 2 months. Allows you to get on the show and plug your business, your small business, or your movie or whatever. Yeah. So but we're just not. You don't want us to review your independent.
It's to explain it. It sounds like we're entitled people, but like it's not our. It's like assigned homework.
Yeah,
like if you're assigned a book for a book report. It's not as enjoyable. To be forced to watch a horror movie every week, it's like, you gotta have a choice in what it is. Yeah. Like, it's like, I can't just have this left open to someone else's whims. Yeah. It has to be, at least have a chance of me having input on it. Anyways, go.
Well said.
Hey guys, it's Elizabeth. I just saw The Black Phone the other day. Really good. Not what I want to talk about. I have just a rant that I wanted to rant about. I know you guys would understand. We were in the theater, and I swear this guy in front of us, there was only like 10 of us in the theater. This guy in front of us pulled his phone out like 10 freaking times during this movie. And the screen wasn't even dim. It was like bright screen in your face. We were sitting behind him, so we could see it. And The Black Phone is supposed to be like a suspenseful movie, and, it's like, how inconsiderate are you? How much of a slave are you to your phone that you cannot put it away for 2 freaking hours? Like, we wanted to say something to him because he did it like 5 or 6 times, but, people are crazy these days, and I just didn't want to get into, like, some kind of scuffle. So, I don't know. I'm sure you guys can agree with me on that, but, God, it was so freaking frustrating, but the movie was great. So anyway, have a good day. Keep up the good work. Later.
Love you, Elizabeth.
I agree with her. Like, I hate this more than people talking in the theater. Like, this is like, movies are a communal experience. So like, I can accept like teenagers laughing or having like internal dialogues or like doing stuff like, yeah, it's distracting, but it's like, it is what it is. And it's kind of part of the experience. People taking out their phones, like this little, where it invades like your peripheral vision with this like bright little square of light. You're like, fuck you.
There exists a place for you in the theater. It's in the back, dumbass.
Right.
Like, if you like, I have to, like, I take notes on my phone. But if I know I'm going to take notes on my phone because I don't have like a notepad or something like that, I just get a fucking seat in the back, at the very back. Yeah. That way, and then I turn the brightness way down, and I have everything on my phone is in dark mode anyway. Right. So it's like, are you not? Yeah. Good on you though, Elizabeth, for prioritizing your safety above your irritation. Although I don't know. Have you ever been in a theater with me where I have a freak out on someone?
Yeah, I think once or twice. Well, not freak out, but like you have gotten bothered to be prickly enough to like turn to someone several times.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I have a couple times in front of you. Yeah. And I can't do it. If somebody's fucking being annoying, I'm like, shut the fuck up. Hey, put your phone away. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
I can't
You're
deal.
very good at that. You're very comfortable with confrontation. And
I'm not comfortable with it. I hate it. I hate it so much. It's the worst. It's just I'm so much more irritated. Like, you got to understand how much anger is coursing through me. Like,
Right.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I hate it. And even like if you're not sitting in the back, put it in your shirt. Put it in your jacket. Be like considerate, you asshole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Hello, this is Andy at Gentle John's Moving and Storage. I might have a wrong number. I'm calling for David. You had requested some help on an upcoming move.
Turn it off!
Did you give him the podcast number?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a brain fart?
Yeah.
No. Or you just didn't want to give them your number?
Yeah. It's one of those things.
Jesus.
You know.
Hey, this is Robert the Farter. I just wanted to say that I've been going through some tough times.
Oh no.
And I won't go any more detailed into that, but I just want to thank you guys for what you do, and listening to you guys every day has really helped with my day, just cheers me up and stuff. And I also wanted to say that if you guys like Ghoulies that much, you should watch the second one.
Okay. Oh, yeah, it's a great one.
It's totally a hidden gem. It's way better than the first, and unlike the first, it is way more about the actual Ghoulies and not the cult stuff like the first one.
Yeah.
Also, I just had a question for you guys. I was wondering what the scariest movie you've ever seen before is. Like, just the movie that scared you the most while you were watching it. Yeah. So, that's my question. Anyways, bye.
Man, Robert, I'm sorry you're going through tough times. This is Robert the Farter. He's certifiably my favorite caller.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to all the rest of you, but Robert holds a special, dear place in my heart. And
this is one of those things that's very confusing for me, but it's something that's said very often, which is like, you guys make life better or less hard for me when I listen to you. It's like, I guess just
whatever
like
you say, man.
letting people laugh at us is therapeutic for them.
Must be.
In a significant way for some people. And I don't want that pressure, to be honest.
I'm so glad that we alleviate some of that, some of the tough times, man. And
life is miserable.
I've been meaning to say this over the last couple calls. Robert, this comes from a place of me liking you so much that I've taken so much time to think about this. You got to understand where this is coming from. Robert's voice has changed. He's been calling for about a year, maybe, or a little more, and his voice is he's becoming a man. And I wonder if that's where some of the tough times are coming from. But regardless, man.
Hey, this is Robert the Farter.
Yeah, it is pretty noticeably lower.
Yeah. Yeah, no, listen, Robert's a fan of us. There's no way he's a bigger fan of us than I am of him.
Yeah.
Robert, you make my tough times better. So thank you for continuing to call in. And yes, Ghoulies 2 is definitely a hidden gem. It's way better than the first. I think the director on it was Richard Band's, is it Charles Band? Charles Band's dad. So, which is interesting, and it got a lot bigger budget. It got a couple $1 million budget, and it was set at a fair or like a.
Oh yeah,
it's great.
That would work.
It's a lot better.
We got another one from Robert.
Hey, this is Robert the Farter again. I just forgot to say, you guys think that Rats Night of Terror is bad? You should watch Troll 2. Dude, this movie is so bad. But yeah, you guys should watch that. Anyways, Robert the Farter, I'm out.
Hey!
Hey, and by the way, so we didn't answer his question. What's the movie that scared us the
Oh,
most?
yeah. I think for me...
I know what you're going to say.
What am I going to say?
The Exorcist.
No.
Oh!
No.
Oh, okay.
I think for me, for like the viewing experience, it's probably a close tie between Blair Witch and Paranormal Activity.
That's mine. Paranormal Activity. That is definitely mine.
Like that's, and it's ironic because it just doesn't show anything. It's like
that's what does it.
Yeah.
It's all in my head, man. I got so much scarier thoughts up there.
And I think part of it is just especially Blair Witch. It's so confusing because it's so like the camera is so jerky.
Yeah, and to Robert, back when Bugsy Siegel used to call in, he would he was rallying for Trolls 2 for a long time.
Yeah.
I wonder what makes Trolls decent, but Trolls 2 is so notably terrible that everybody goes.
I think one of them is the fact that it's one of those movies that I think has no relation to the original. They just stuck Trolls 2 on it.
Got it.
To get some kind of cred.
You're right.
And it's awful. I mean, Trolls 2 is up there with like Room as like it's like there's kind of a trifecta of known horrible movies.
Yeah.
There's Trolls 2, The Room, and Plan 9 from Outer Space. And mostly they're known because there's documentaries about them being a horrible movie.
Right.
Or like media that talks about it as a horrible movie. I can guarantee you there are worse movies.
Oh,
and they're made by Charles Band.
Yeah, and they are all made by Charles Band, for sure. Yeah.
All right. This is from Dominic.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Dominic calling from Buffalo, New York. I just wanted to call in and ask you guys if you heard they're making a Butt Boy 2. But they're calling it Dick Hole Man. And you guessed it. He's going to shove kids, animals, and everything up his dick hole. I'm just fucking with you. I'm just calling to make sure you guys had a great 4th of July weekend. I know I did. I got some strippers to shoot some bottle rockets out of their assholes, and no taints were burned, no fires were started, and that's even something Honest Abe would approve of. So, anyways, take care.
You know, that's some good old fashioned American food. How was your 4th?
It was good. I tasked Erin with buying the fireworks this year, which was a mistake. 'Cause she went overboard. Okay. All right. Well, this is going to be a whole rant now, 'cause I got to talk about the 4th. When you're a kid, when I was a little boy that was a little pyromaniac, I always yearned for the day that I would get to be the one that set off the fireworks or buy the fireworks. And now that I am, it's like the most tedious, boring thing. Like, I don't care. I don't care about setting off these fireworks.
No energy around it at all. It's definitely a thing that's just, it's fun to spend someone else's money.
Right. Yeah.
Which is probably why Aaron did a good job.
It's, yeah. I mean, it's the last couple of years, it's like, I go.
No, that is a horrible joke, and I did not mean that. Aaron, if you're listening, that's just a joke.
But true.
Whoa.
I've like done I'm gonna get the cheapest like box of fireworks that I can, and then augment it with one or two things. Like get like a shells thing, and get like some of the puny things that I have nostalgia for, but mostly. Your night can be contained in like a $20 or $30 box of fireworks.
Yeah.
Aaron got like 4 boxes of shells and like a couple giant, finale.
Wow.
Boxes. You
let Neston light these things or Penny?
Heck no.
Oh.
It was all us.
Okay.
But and a bunch of sprinklers and stuff. And it ends up being like the kids are bored after like 10 minutes of it.
Really?
Colin was like, I want to go home and go to bed, which is insane. Like eventually I took Colin, we lit up fireworks around my mom's house, 'cause she lives on a cul-de-sac, And eventually I had to take Colin into her house and sit on the couch, and he was even inside the couch, on the couch, looking through the window. He's like, can we just go home? I want to go to my bed. Or like, can we go lay down in grandma's bed together?
Not enough turmoil in these kids' lives. I think that's the problem. This new generation is growing up good, so they don't have to blow off steam by exploding things.
Yeah. So, I mean, it went on.
Maybe it's because they weren't allowed to light them. Gotta let them light that shit.
So it went on for probably longer than it needed to be, but it was fun, just like any 4th. The rhetoric against 4th of July has gotten so extreme in the last like 3 years. Like all of a sudden,
it's here, isn't it? Just here. Portland is looking to do an outright ban.
Vancouver has an outright ban.
Yeah, the city limits do.
Yeah, which means nothing.
We're incorporated.
Yeah. So, but like the posts on Reddit are just like, why are people lighting off fireworks?
Yeah.
Like what? Why? It's like, okay.
Are you serious?
Like all of a sudden the last, I think I only noticed it last year. It was like, how dare you do violence to our animals and our veterans? Like, I have never heard anyone complain about this for the 40 years of my life, except for the last 2 years. Like, and yeah, I have empathy towards, I have empathy towards people that have animals and veterans that, suffer from PTSD. It's like, I get it, but before you were a veteran, you knew about fireworks and you probably enjoyed them. And if it's a problem now, like, yeah, you should probably like go down in a basement and surround yourself with a bunch of fans and put some headphones on. And if you're a dog, you're a fucking dog. Like, put them in a crate. Who the fuck cares? Like they'll run away from a vacuum cleaner. You gonna stop vacuuming?
This thing where, it's a strange inclination where, because someone has a tough time, we have to pander to the lowest form of life.
Yeah.
It's like,
and like, oh, but property gets burned every year. It's like, yeah.
Great.
Property gets burned every year, not because of fireworks too. It's like, there's meth labs. There's probably more meth labs that explode in Vancouver.
Dude, yeah, these Portland people want to like do all this, like lip service to like caring so much about the public good. It's like, okay, then fucking get rid of all the horrendous violent crime and drug abuse and
homeless encampments that are starting stuff on fire and burning down buildings.
Compassion isn't allowing all this bullshit to continue. Okay, it's like doing something about it, and we're all just fucking deadly silent about that.
And I just look at like one of my most remembered cultural experiences in my life is we went to Spain and
España.
This festival in Valencia called Las Fallas. It is very heavily surrounded around fireworks, but I don't know if I've talked about this before. Like, if you want to travel the world, go to this festival in Spain. It's around March every year, but they build these like paper mache caricatures, like political cartoons. A lot of them are effigies that are literally like 4 or 5 stories tall. Some of them, like insanely large sculptures that are beautiful. They're like impressive works of art throughout the city into like the suburbs. And then the main night, they burn all of them. Wow. And then they have a giant fireworks festival. It is the most people I've been around in my life. Like, not joking. I'm sure I was surrounded by millions of people in this town. It was like watching the fireworks. It was chest to chest, like literally as a creepy teenage boy. Like I was like, I kind of just position my hand in a certain way where I can kind of be touching this girl's butt.
And now you're canceled.
Okay.
God, and good reason too. What a creep.
I know now that teenage me was a creep and wrong. I'm woke now. But seeing that as a cultural festival is like, this is a cool thing. And it's a one-day thing that's like breaks the monotony of everyday life. And just to say like, no, in America, we can't do that. We can't have fun things.
We had a good time. There was plenty of fucking explosions. I'm not, let the babies cry.
Anyways, moving on. We got another one from Dominic and then one more.
No, we have.
Hey guys, Dominic calling in again. Sorry, I just had to call back in just to reiterate that no strippers were harmed during the process of bottle rocket shooting out of assholes.
Oh, good.
I just wanted to make that clear. And if you're listening, do not try that at home. It's only for professional strippers. Their names, the strippers' names were Cinnamon and Munchmouth. Yes, Munchmouth. And I don't know really why her name is Munchmouth. I just assumed she was an extra for Human Centipede, or she swallows more hot dogs than Joey Chestnut. But I'm sure it lies somewhere in the middle. Take care.
Thanks, Dominic.
Oh man,
it's good to know.
Talking about cultural phenomenons, another one that's a must see.
Oh no,
is going to Nathan's hot dog eating competition on the 4th of July. Amazing. Like,
why?
It's like they televise them now, so you can kind of see what some of it is. But again, huge horde of people, like insane amount of people in one place. But the bombacity of one of the stupidest events in the world, of just like, they make it seem like it's basically close to professional wrestling in terms of like introductions and like the importance and gravitas they set up for this momentous occasion for like, this is it,
Yeah.
And I could probably find a clip of them introducing Joey Chestnut this year, but that's fantastic too. I'm assuming he's talking about exotic dancers and not like people that are paint strippers.
I don't know.
Be great if it was just like.
Are you not allowed to call strippers? Is that?
I just envision like when someone says strippers, I think like paint strippers, so like middle-aged men.
Oh no,
no. I guess it's not really a profession.
Last call.
What's up, motherfuckers? This is the Beast from the Northeast, CJ, and I just wanted to say that Mike is one of my favorite callers. Mike from California, and I hope he calls in more often. Mike, if you're listening, keep doing what you're doing, bro. All right, bud.
Yeah, no Mike calls. Thanks, CJ. No Mike calls this time. Mike, what's the matter?
Mike, you okay? Come on, keep calling.
What's the matter? What's going on?
Maybe he's having a rough time.
Maybe he lost digits in the 4th of July.
Oof.
Seems like a guy.
Need to ban all fireworks.
Oof. Yeah. Well, if it happened to Mike, everybody'd be okay with it. Maybe. I don't know. He doesn't fit the right victim status.
No.
I imagine.
There was
making some assumptions here.
There was a Colombian article that listed out the damages from the 4th of July, and one of them was a kid blew his hand off, and it was like kind of amusing because the family started like a Kickstarter or like a GoFundMe account, and they're like, "Oh, he's such a good kid. He's got a good job at Walmart," and like, yeah, it was kind of a dumb mistake, but he's really needs some help. He's his major hand, and it's like, okay. Your grandson was very, very dumb and careless, and he's experiencing the consequences of that.
Look at Bryce's kids with all their hands. Hey, by the way, that reminds me, GoFundMe, we do have a charity event going on where we are trying to raise $2,000 for the Trevor Project. Head on over to horrormovietalk.com. Just scroll down just below the player on the right-hand side of the page, and help us reach our goal. We are at, I don't know, $650 out of 2,000, so we need all the help we can get, and that goes to help save trans and LGBTQ plus IA youth. So put your money where your mouth is if you are someone who, wants to, who thinks that those are things worth supporting. So, is that it? Is that the show?
I think that's the show. Thank you so much for calling in, everyone that called in. share the podcast with a friend. That's the way that we grow. We've been doing this for 4 years, and we've got a pretty decent audience now that if you all shared it with a friend and got another person listening, that would be very significant. Leave us a rating on Apple Podcasts or other podcast platforms where you can leave a rating. And we'll see you next time.
We love you. Bye.
Bye. Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk.
An opinionated and accidentally funny horror movie review show. Go, 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 go.
Just took a stroll through the scraggly woods. He had no face! Horror!
Sabrina, don't just stare at it, eat it.
New theatrical releases always get priority.
But we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible.
Wow, that didn't sound good.